Part, grab some food, say hello to someone new. Many of you have heard me say this before, but these networking events, introduce yourself to someone new. You never know what door that's going to open. Create a new partnership. Gordon and I were just talking about it. We've met investment partners, we've met real estate agents, we've met all sorts of industry professionals through networking events just like this. So make sure you take the opportunity to do that. I'm going to keep the intro brief. Again, small group tonight. Many of you have heard this already, so I'll try to cruise through the Candor team and a little bit of an introduction to me. And then where we're really going to spend some time is we're going to go back to basics. So I think everybody knows this, but we host a variety. We host, I think, 6 now Pints and Properties meetups across Massachusetts and New Hampshire every single month. So from southern New Hampshire to central Massachusetts. And we invite guest speakers a lot. And the content of those guest speakers can vary from legal professionals to real estate agents to investors themselves. And we've gotten some feedback that some of the topics are a little bit too advanced. And we really need to focus on prepping people to run numbers, get comfortable making offers, and really kind of starting with the basics. So we're using this meetup as an example to do that. And we're also going to do that at our virtual meetup in a couple of weeks that John Bombacci hosts, and he's going to focus on similar types of content, getting started, running your numbers, and how to get comfortable kind of making offers on your first property. So we'll do that, and then we're going to have Gabe come up. Where's Gabe? Gabe's here. He is a member of the Candor Realty family and team. Just closed on his first property in April. So he'll come up and we'll actually have an interactive conversation with Gabe about how he picked his location, how he picked the property, and then you guys can ask him really any questions you want about the property and the deal. All right? And we'll finish up. I know the game's on tonight, but we'll try to wrap up about 8, a little bit after 8. We can sit here and network a little bit longer, and then the Go Seas, they're on tonight, so hopefully they're not on until 9. Tip's probably like 9:10, West Coast time, I know. But we'll do that. We have the room as long as we want, so don't feel like you're in a rush to get out of here. A couple of months ago, we added some sponsors to the team, so we're very thankful to these sponsors. Many of these businesses we actually do business, we did business with prior to launching the sponsorship program. These folks help us keep the cost free to all of you. Help us with the food, help us with the venue costs. If you need any referrals, these are great folks. We have hard money with asset-based lending, movement mortgage. This is my personal real estate attorney. So if you guys need referrals across the industry, here's some great contacts, and you can always reach out to me, and I can offer you referrals as well. All right, and like I said, I'll keep this bit short. You guys can interrupt and ask questions as much as you want, especially with the smaller group. I think that'll probably be a little bit more engaging. So my name's Todd Wheatley, full-time real estate investor and agent here in Waltham, Massachusetts. I lead the Candor Realty Boston team. That's 7 agents. We cover all of Boston proper and the surrounding suburbs. We focus on multifamily, flip properties, but investment-focused properties primarily. We will do condos, single-family houses, but that's not really our bread and butter. We focus on investor-focused properties primarily. I'm also a co-founder with 3 other partners in Millennium Holding Group, which we'll talk about in a second. This is a real estate syndication firm. We focus on large real estate assets in the 50 to 100 unit range, and we bring those investment opportunities out to our passive investment partners who invest in them, and then we operate them for the life of the project. So we'll talk about that in a minute. And I've got a variety of experience in different types of investments here, and we have 273, or I have 273 units owned and operated. Many of those are with partners through the Millennium Holding Group company. And while I leave the slide with the team up here, do you guys have any questions about either my background or the Candor team at this point? Happy to answer any questions you guys might have as we get started.
Why am I not on there?
You should be. You should be, and you should be like up here.
That's right.
And I should be much smaller. So, no, but this is the team. Again, investment-focused agents around Boston. We've tried to structure the team where we have agents to the northwest and south of Boston. So whether you're looking for a property directly in the middle of Boston or anywhere around the city, we have an agent that can help you. Who's here tonight? We have Cindy here in the background, or in the back. So she's based in Drake and Lowell. So if you're in the kind of northern suburbs of Boston, you can certainly touch base with Cindy. And then again, we have a full service team here that can help you in and around Boston.
And Kyle and Leominster.
Kyle and Leominster. Kyle and Leominster in a house hack. Because that's what we focus on, which is a very good segue. Yeah. So, so every member of the team, the Candor team, is either a real estate investor themselves or aspiring to purchase their first investment property. Gabe, Kyle are perfect examples of that. Myself as well. I actually was a client of Candor before I became an agent. And I don't know what the number is. What, Giggles McGee over here, what are we doing?
She wanted to be part of the team, but she's not buying anything. She's not an investor.
She absolutely can. So we're up to 35 agents on the team.
I'll put the hardcore press.
We're up to 35 agents on the team.
I closed 2 transactions in 1 week for my first time.
Hell yes. Hell yes. So we're up to 35 agents on the team. I don't know the exact breakdown, but I would say more than half of those folks either live in a house hack or own an investment property, and then the other half are working on doing that in the next 12 months. So a lot of people ask us, why Candor? Why would I work with you guys? We live and breathe real estate investment properties in and out. Like, we do it ourselves, and if we can bring value to our clients through that experience, we will do that. Which I just covered, so we'll skip this one. I want to spend a second, and again, you guys tell me if this is interesting to you or not. We cover this in social media. John covers this at our virtual meetup, but we find this as the market is transitioning, which it is. We find the data side of things pretty fascinating, but we know that's not for everybody. So I'm going to give you a quick overview of what we're seeing in the market, and then you guys tell me if you want to go deeper or not on it. So these 4 graphs are put together by Ian Hogan on our team. He's like our resident data guru. He runs them every month, and he runs them by market. So this is Boston multifamily market data. And what we're seeing is, so blue is 2021 and red is 2022. And what we're looking at is trends year over year. So typically in Boston, we see properties sell at a discount or lower than asking price, right? In the winter months. And then as we come into summer, we see things sell at a premium because demand picks up, inventory stays flat or is lower, and we see people bidding up over asking price. What's been really interesting to see is, as most of you buyers can attest to, like, we're seeing properties go over asking price even in the doldrums of a New England winter, which is kind of crazy and unusual. And we've seen it peak, or maybe peak, in May. And now we're entering kind of the seasonally high summer period where we would typically see that. So it's going to be very interesting to see if in June, if this decreases or if it continues to go up. But long story short, people are still paying over asking price and paying premiums for multifamily properties. Over here on the right, we have supply. This is the reason why people are paying more for properties, is we don't have any supply. And so we have about 1.5 months of supply, which means if 0 new listings come on the market, it would only take us 45 days to sell through the inventory that's on the market. That is like absurdly low. Last week in Lowell, John had quoted he looked back all the way to like 2006 or 7, like 18 months of supply on the market. So like 10 or 15 times more inventory was on the market at that time. So if this chart was zoomed out 10 years, it would be tiny compared to 10 years ago. So that is the driver of the high prices, is there's just no supply. You can see that again here in the listing inventory. Listings are basically flat. and multifamilies sold were basically flat year over year. So, so that's what we're seeing in the market. Any questions on like the transition in the market that we're seeing? Yeah, Brady.
Yeah, I'm just curious, transactionally, what are you guys seeing a difference on how long houses are sitting on the market with like the way interest rates have moved up? Or
Yes.
you're not really seeing
Yeah, interest rates are hugely important. So
Yeah.
this, I feel even a little bit out of date. Like this is May data, and we're at June 16th, and I feel like we're out of date.
Okay.
We've seen interest rates, and many of you know this, and if you follow our weekly newsletter, like interest rates have gone up to 6.25% for 30-year fixed rate mortgage this week. That's up like 1% in a week. And so we're seeing real time this play out where buyers are cooling off. Buyers are saying, like, my mortgage is going to be way higher than I thought it was going to be. But yet sellers haven't repriced their properties yet. And so what we're seeing in the market is this repricing is beginning, but it's very, very early. So you're going to see buyers cool off, I think. You're going to see sellers get scared, or they're going to see their properties sit on the market. And what will happen is they're going to have to reprice their properties to a point where buyers step back in to buy the property. And if buyers' debt or loans are expensive, their purchasing power will go down. So, but we're in the early innings. Like this is literally playing out. If we had this meeting again next week, it might be a totally different story. Like it is real time playing out right now.
It's interesting.
Yeah. Any other questions on like where the market's going, or not that we know where the market's going, but we do use data to look at trending and try to build hypotheses on where it's going.
From buyers, are you hearing anything about, because from what it looks like, interest rates are going to continue to go up.
Yes.
Are you hearing buyers that are trying to get in before who knows how far it peaks, or have you seen like people back out like yours?
Yeah, so real quick, right? So when we saw interest rates spike in February and March, we had a lot of buyers step back. They said, interest rates are moving way too quickly for me. Things are getting expensive. I'm gonna kind of pump the brakes. Interest rates stabilized for a period of time. Buyers got more comfortable. They came back to the market. So people said, okay, I can deal with like 4.5% or 5% because I know it's stable, right? I know how to run my numbers, which we're gonna get into. But when the interest rates are moving very quickly, it freaks people out. We're seeing that again. So we saw buyers come back. We got a lot of buyers under contract, but with interest rates spiking again, we're seeing people take a step back. Yeah.
I mean, in my opinion, it's really more, rates are actually normalizing than increasing right now. Now, because we have been at a really low interest rates that no one had ever seen, ever.
Absurdly
Right?
low.
So-
Like we were closing clients at 2.6, 2.7%
Right.
30-year.
So a 6.25 loan is still actually really good.
Yeah.
It's just, we haven't seen that in a few years, so like it's like the buyer shock, right? The price tag shock right
Yeah.
now. I got my first mortgage I got was at 8.9%. I'm a little bit older than some people here, so give me a break. But it was a 5.
You're a lot
It was also a 5. It was a 5-1 arm, as well, and it was an 8.9%, right?
Yeah.
It's like, but like so it was kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But
It's
more of
a good point.
It's a normalization. I understand there's a lot of fear out there, and I do agree. I think that rates are going to continue to rise. They have to. But I think that it's a little bit more of a lot of fear out there right now. People are kind of just pumping the brakes, kind of like what you said.
Yep.
And that's, again, just my opinion.
But for everybody that's only been in this 3-4 years, like you said, I locked in at 2.5,
That's it, pretty.
and now I'm looking at houses. I'm like, this is triple what I was paying before. You know?
Right, but what I'll say to you guys, and this is probably unusual coming from a real estate agent, but I'll put my real estate investor hat on for a second. Like, be patient, because what's going to happen is, again, you're not the only buyer out there, but when the majority of buyers say my debt is too expensive, this doesn't make sense. The numbers don't make sense. The market will adjust. It's a market, and so if buyers disappear, sellers have to, even if there's low inventory, sellers are going to have to readjust their prices, and the market is going to reprice the inventory, the available inventory down until it makes sense for buyers to step in. So be patient. This is exactly why we wanted to talk about running numbers tonight, because this is the time. when the market does these weird things and is in these transitionary periods, don't put your head in the sand. Don't disappear. Put the reps in, right? Get used to running numbers. Look at properties on market. Know when something is a good deal. And even if it takes 3 months of doing that, when the one comes up, like when we got yours last year, you're gonna know right away. You're gonna know how to run your numbers, and you're gonna make quick decisions. But if you go away and disappear and don't run your numbers and just wait, you're not gonna be prepared to take advantage of the opportunities when they arise. But it doesn't mean you go out today and buy something.
Yeah, makes sense.
I'm going to skip that one in the interest of time. I'll quickly cover Millennium Holding Group. So again, real estate syndication firm. I'm one of 4 partners in this. We focus on primarily $3+ million properties. We have 253 units under ownership that we personally operate today, $40 million. We're looking to grow that to 600 units by the end of this year. So pretty aggressive growth plans. And then we have some sample projects. So this is our very first project up in Lowell. We closed 58 units in March in New Hampshire. And then we have 65 units in Gardner that we're in the process of closing right now, or we actually have closed this right now. And we're looking to expand in Gardner and southern New Hampshire as well. So this is a great opportunity. Again, not for everybody in this room, but for folks that are looking for real estate exposure, that may not want to be landlords, may not want to operate their own properties, may have family members that want exposure to real estate. This can be a great opportunity to get some income, some tax benefits of real estate without having to personally own it and deal with some of the headaches of operations. So,
What are the target holding periods for each of those?
typically 4 to 7 or 5 to 8 years. Depends on if it's a kind of a value add play. So like Lowell, for example, we bought this well under market value. It needed cosmetic renovations. We knew we could boost the value of the property in a very short period of time. This is a little bit shorter, 4 to 7 years. New Hampshire and Gardner are longer term cash flow plays. They still have upside through renovations, but I'll be very honest with you, in the fall of 2021, we were looking at the market, we anticipated higher rates, we anticipated the inflation numbers that were coming out, and we said, we want to buy ATM machines. We want to buy real estate portfolios that print money, that adjust based on inflation through rent increases, that we can then take that cash and distribute it back to our investors. So these are what we call kind of cash flow projects. This is a value add project. These are longer term, and this is a little bit shorter. Okay. If you're interested, you can go here and join our investor list, and you'll get updated with new projects that we have available. So with that being said, I want to spend some time running numbers, and we're going to do this live. And I've never done it live on the Wi-Fi here, so we'll see how this goes. So we'll hop into this. Who here has run numbers on investment properties before? Oh, a lot of people. Do you guys feel comfortable doing it? Do you feel like you still need some practice? Do you feel like is there any one area of running numbers that you want to spend more time on?
I'd be curious to know what you use for like estimating certain expenses, like property management or CapEx,
Yep.
or any things where it might not be like harder to repairs and maintenance.
Yep.
Things that maybe are sometimes like a percentage of rents.
Yep. Perfect. And as you probably know, Ryan, like it's definitely more of an art than a science, right?
I want to know what your skills are. I want to know how you guys do it.
For sure. It's easy to be like, what do you mean? I plugged in the numbers and like it just spits out a number on the backside. But it's, real estate is definitely an art. Cindy, you were going to say something too.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing that he said. Because I feel like when we used to run the numbers, I feel like we estimate the
Yep.
CapEx, but it was more like, wanting to get like a higher cash on cash return
Yep.
versus factoring in the CapEx. You
Okay.
know what I mean? So we kind of like look for a higher cash on cash and then, factor it in that way
Yep.
versus I don't do it differently because I used to do it before.
Yeah.
So you can explain it a little bit.
Yeah, and again, I'll be glad to walk you guys through how I think about this stuff. And I think the biggest takeaway is that for each investor, like you need to come up with your own numbers. Like Ryan, to your point, right? I could say like, hey, I'm going to use 5% vacancy or 3% vacancy, and you're like, 3% doesn't resonate with me. That doesn't make sense, right? Like I think I'm going to see higher than that. Then that's a personal decision as a real estate investor, and we have a lot of folks that come to us and say, like, give us the recipe. And we're very careful to do that because we think there's a lot of value in teaching folks how to think critically and make their own decisions, right? We can guide, we can share what we're seeing in the marketplace, but we can't tell you, we can't run the numbers for you, right? We want people to get comfortable doing that. We want people to, again, what we call put in the reps, get comfortable doing it to be a better investor. So, we do have a page, like, so if you, after tonight's meetup or late next week or whatever, I have a page on our website, so it's Candor Realty Boston, resources for real estate investors. So I put this together that has, like, analyzing a multifamily property. So everything we're gonna go through tonight, there's literally a YouTube video that I walk through this on this link. So, so you can go check that out anytime. I also put together some other helpful links for estimating rents, how to get to the Bigger Pockets calculator, so other resources you can use when running numbers are in here as well.
Is Gabe showing us tonight the numbers that he used?
Gabe is going to talk to us about his deals. So we're gonna quickly run through numbers. Then I'm gonna have Gabe
Sorry to
come
talk
up.
about you like right here. I was just addressing the presenter. Sorry.
Yes, and we're gonna have Gabe come up, and we're literally just gonna have like an organic conversation with Gabe about like how did he run his numbers, how did he pick his location, but he'll tell us all about it because he's right there.
I have an educated guess, but I don't even know what CapEx means. Is it
Okay.
capital expenses?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So it's expenses that are, yeah, we'll get into that. We'll get into that when we go through the calculator.
In honor of, back to basics, like,
Yes.
even me, I work with investors every single day, and I still
Yeah.
don't know. I feel like I don't know
No, but
anything.
seriously, like ask any question. If I say something and you're like, I don't know what that means, say it, right? Like raise your hand.
Will do.
So we're gonna do this live. So, and I also think to the point Brady made, we are literally watching a market change in the moment. Like interest rates that we're gonna use tonight, I haven't even run property analysis with 6.25%. And so I think, I'm gonna set expectations, I think we're gonna find a lot of disappointing deals out there because the market is going into this price adjustment, repricing kind of transitionary period. So, somebody throw a city or a town out. Anywhere, around Boston.
Waltham.
Waltham, all right. You guys can see the turn, all right, perfect. So we're gonna pick a random property, because that's how I like to roll.
Is this the MLS that you're using?
This is MLS. Right, so we're gonna go Waltham, multifamily properties, there's 12 on right now. What do you guys want? 2 unit, 4 unit? Let's keep it not commercial, so we'll skip like the 8 units.
Let's go 4.
Yeah.
4, like 4? Wow, a 4 unit at 829. There's gotta be something wrong with that. Attention investors and contractors.
Yeah, contractors.
Let's just make sure it's not like a demo, that's all. If it's like a buy and hold,
Look at those pics.
yeah. Okay,
I've seen worse.
no, that's livable.
Definitely seen worse.
That's a good price. I haven't seen a 4-family under $1 million in Waltham for
Stay tuned, Todd's
a
lying.
couple years. Yeah, let's skip that one. Let's not talk about that one. Alright, yeah, so let's do it, right? So 2426 Taylor Street, right? So this is the MLS sheet. For anybody that's worked with us before, like you'll recognize this sheet. This is the one pager that we send you guys. Kind of has the quick and dirty, the description. If the listing agent is pretty solid, they'll put like bedroom counts and unit counts in and stuff. So let's do this, all right? So 2426. So I'm gonna flip over to Bigger Pockets. Do you guys use Bigger Pockets? Most everybody knows about Bigger Pockets, all right?
I have a question about that. Do most
Yeah.
people use the calculators on Bigger Pockets, or you use like an Excel sheet?
We actually use Bigger Pockets a lot, even on like big deals. We do have an investor. We do have we do have a spreadsheet for analysis of larger commercial properties, only because they have like expense line items and things that aren't covered in here. But we find this to be very good, and frankly, like we'll run the numbers. We'll print it out, add our logo to it, and even send it to like lenders and banks. And we get more feedback on this. Like, wow, this is very professional, it's very put together. We're like, yeah, we're just using like a free tool that's out there, but cool. Important to know, so you're capped on how many you can do if you have a free Bigger Pockets membership. If you want unlimited access, email me and I'll give you we have a shared Candor login. As long as you follow some basic rules, we don't care. Like you can log in as us, name your reports with your name, but you can run as many as you want. So just email me after if you want access to the tool. All right, what do we say? 2426 Taylor Street in Waltham. All right. New feature, it does import property data. We are gonna make sure this is right. So I like this feature, but I also double check the data to make sure that property taxes and things like that are correct. If we pop back to our purchase price, $829, I always start with the purchase price. I always run my numbers baseline at the purchase price. And then if the numbers don't work, I can always adjust the purchase price down in order to figure out where it does make sense. So this was $829. What type of loan do you guys think we should use? So for family property, we could use an FHA loan, we could use a conventional loan, although owner-occupied loans are gonna require higher down payments. What do you guys think?
FHA.
Oh, FHA, all right, the fan favorite.
Is there a way to, after the fact, look at a 203K?
You can, so you would use a different tool. So you would use, you'd probably actually use the fix and flip or BRRRR tool in Bigger Pockets, because what you're doing with a 203K is you're technically doing renovations to boost the ARV, the after repair value, and then potentially refinancing out of the deal. So it gets a little complicated to do a 3K. You can do it, absolutely can do it, but let's start with just kind of a straight line FHA deal first. So FHA loans, I think many of you know that have seen term sheets of FHA loans. They're great, they're low down payment, they're not the cheapest loans in the world. They have a lot of costs and fees associated with them. I typically would use, like if I had a client that we were running numbers on in this market for a $900,000 property, I would use about $10,000 for closing costs. If you're super analytical, super detail oriented, you can actually click on this advanced tab and add in each individual item from a term sheet. But for the sake of just seeing if we're in the ballpark, I like to use $10,000. All right, down payment. So we're gonna go percentage, and we're gonna go 96.5%. Again, FHA can be 3.5%.
I think it's a down payment though. Is that not supposed to be the 3.5?
Oh, thank you. Yep. Thank you. Yes, perfect.
Hey, all cash.
It used to actually
How much
be,
work?
it used to actually be the loan amount. So thank you for thank you for correcting that. The one thing to note, and again, if you're an FHA buyer in this market, especially in Boston, not so much in Merrimack Valley or Worcester County, it is difficult to find properties. And again, I don't want to go too much into the FHA loan limits, but there are limits on what the FHA will lend on for a particular property size by unit counts. It is a little uncommon to actually do 3.5% down near Boston. You're typically 5 to 7% down. Again, just because the purchase price, the prices are so high and the limits are just a little bit under that purchase price. We'll put 3.5% for right now, but just kind of keep that in mind. We'll do 6% for interest rate, and then FHA. Anybody know how many points are charged to an FHA loan?
1.75.
1.75. Nailed it. Do people know what points are?
No.
Okay.
Are you talking about the mortgage insurance premium, upfront mortgage insurance?
Upfront, so FHA is upfront mortgage insurance premium. FHA actually has two. So it has the upfront mortgage insurance premium, right, which is a percentage of the loan amount. Points so the term points are points, but also used for FHA loans, and they represent a percentage of the loan amount. So Brady is 100% right. It's 1.75% of the loan amount, or 1.75 points. So we would do that.
I'm sorry, I might have missed it. I was telling them to stop coming in and out. What is that for? What points? Who determines that?
So the bank,
The bank.
in this case, HUD, the Housing and Urban Development Department, because FHA loans are so low, they're low down payment. There is a risk inherent to them,
Right.
right?
For the bank.
For the bank, for the lender. To secure that, they charge a fee as a percentage of the loan amount in the loan. So that either if you pay on time, you pay that as part of the loan, or if you default, you still owe that amount of money, right? And so that is a fee charged at closing, but can be rolled into the loan amount. But that's what a point is. Commercial banks also charge points, and again, it's paid at closing. It's a percentage of the loan amount, and it's paid to the bank at the closing. It puts money in the bank's pocket, even though they're making money on the annual or on the monthly.
It's like insurance for them.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
So that's the big metric with the FHAs, that it's a lower down payment.
Very much so. So it's lower down payment because there are very few, if any, other loan for a 4-family in Waltham to put 5% down or 3.5% down. There are no other products. You might be able to use like a mass housing loan, but you have to. The qualifications for it are exceptionally tight. Even if you were going to live in the 4-family, you're talking 20 to 25% down on a 4-family. So for many of our clients and investors, the difference between 5% and 25% from a down payment perspective is huge, even if it's more costly in the loan itself through the fees and the mortgage insurance premium. All right, with the 30-year term,
That 1.5% though, that's not, that 1.75, the points, 1.34 points, that's not a finance number, right? That's upfront down payment.
no, it can be rolled into the loan.
Oh,
Yes. Still has to be under the loan limit, the FHA loan limit for that calendar year in that county, but it can absolutely be rolled into the loan. Yep.
I guess that's a good point. So for this calculator though, is it going to show us that we have to come out of pocket with that 1.75% given we put it in?
Yes, and it will, because bigger pockets, and this is actually feedback we've given them, it's not an epic, like you can't select loan type.
Yeah.
So you can care for that in one of two ways. You can care for that either you could artificially boost your purchase price. You could calculate the 1.75%, you could boost the purchase price and zero out the points. And I don't want to confuse people, but you could do that
for the calculator purpose.
for the calculator purpose. Or you can just run it with the 1.75 and know what your maximum out of pocket would be. And it might actually be lower than that because you'd be rolling the 1.75 into the loan. But yes, you are 100% right.
As long as the appraisal comes back, you cover
Yes. Yep.
That's way later.
it. Way later.
All right, so rental income. I don't know if people saw what I just did, but what you can do in here is you can switch to single figure. So again, we're going slow, we're talking through each data point. This actually, once you're used to this takes like 5 minutes to do. If you're quick and just want a quick and dirty, like, am I even in the ballpark? You can do a gross monthly income number, single figure. So you could go back to our MLS sheet and you could look at the rents. In which, did they give us rents? Nope. They sure didn't.
It's vacant.
Is it entirely vacant?
It looked vacant in the pictures.
2 of them are.
Tech fee will apply. This might actually be bank owned. So, Yeah, this might be a bank-owned property. So it is vacant, so they didn't give us any rents.
Can you do me a favor real quick? I don't mean to interrupt. Can you go down and see when they did a price drop on it? 'Cause
Yeah.
It shows a price drop.
Yeah. So originally listed for $936, $899. Oh, this is 20, we actually had this under contract.
That's good.
Dan Kerr had this under contract.
No way.
This is bank-owned, this is a bank-owned property. Yep. So they dropped it to $899, which happened to be our offer, and they have just dropped it to $829,000.
Why did he back out?
There's a significant amount of physical repairs.
Physical events.
Yeah.
Interesting that they dropped the price on 614 right when the Fed was raising the rates.
Yeah. No, they're trying to unload this.
Yeah.
So let's finish this example. A vacant bank-owned property, probably not the best example, but it's still going to get us through the numbers, kind of in a theoretical, kind of gets the theory across. So how would we figure out, if they didn't give us rent numbers, how would we figure out what a one-bedroom in Waltham would rent for?
Google.
Rent a meter.
Yes.
Who said that?
Rentometer.
Nailed it.
Tomer.
Nailed it, right? So if you go back to our resources page, top one, rentometer, right? Boom. 24 Taylor Street, Waltham, all right? And I always just put $1,000, do one bedroom, one bath, smart radius, that's fine. Do that. Boom, analyze. Okay. So again, for the sake of running numbers, so for anybody that hasn't seen this before, you're gonna get actual MLS and other, Zillow, Realtor.com, it's gonna pull in actual data from those tools and give us, average rent amount for a one bedroom, median, 25th percentile, and 75th percentile. So if we had a vacant apartment, what do you think we should use here? We have a pretty big range here. What do you guys think we should use?
With the condition it's in now?
Yeah,
Lower.
25th
Lower than
percentile.
25th, yeah.
okay. Do you wanna go 16, we'll go 1650
Yeah.
for one beds? All right. So what I like to do, because I like to do it by unit, but you don't have to do this, is we look at the unit, we have 1, 2, 1, 2. So we go 1650, right, for the one beds. And then we have two beds, and we go do the same thing over here, right? So let's go 2 bed. Boom. Analyze. All right, what do you guys want to use for 2 bed?
2,000.
2,000. Yeah.
2,000? Okay. I can tell you in the area that's pretty low, but you can use it.
If it's in crap condition.
It doesn't even look like it's livable, but I guess we're just assuming.
Hey,
that it is.
Todd. So, this is a FHA, so it's owner occupied. So a lot of times when I'm running it, just put 0 for one of the units.
Yes, that is a good point, and actually in the video that I have on the site, I actually do mention that. So we could do, what I would do if I was helping a client buy this, I would say try to occupy one of the one bedrooms. Unless you absolutely need more room, try to occupy the smallest amount of space in the building that you can. So to that point, you could do that. Do 0 out, owner occupied, and then put the other units there.
But couldn't you choose to occupy the 2-bedroom and then rent out one of the bedrooms so you would still have a rent for your...
You absolutely can. This is where the investment hat comes on. So you absolutely could put, maybe you wanted to do 1650 for the 1 bedroom, and then the 2 bedroom, you wouldn't 0 it out because you're going to rent a bedroom for $1,000 or $800. So maybe you bring one of these to $1,000. It's
16.
So the only thing, and I don't want to make this too complicated, for the self-sufficiency test, I don't think they're gonna allow you to take rent for your unit, right?
they are not. They're not gonna care. They're gonna look.
Well, I
at
guess this
seven-
yeah, that's true.
Yep. They're gonna look at a percentage of the overall income
Yeah.
on the property, and the 75% takes you out anyway. And again, if anybody wants to learn more about self-sufficiency, there's a video on that. But yeah, the point is, And again, I don't want to make, I'm trying not to make this too complicated. The point is, and to the question, you can be as creative as you want in these numbers. So if you're gonna buy a property like this and rent a bedroom, think about it like that. Think about where the income's gonna come from. And if you're gonna fully occupy a unit, zero the number, right? Don't plan on any income for that. So we'll leave it as this right now. We'll leave it as we're gonna live in the two bedroom, we're gonna rent a bedroom because we have a friend or a colleague, and we're gonna rent out the one. All right? All right, expenses. So this property tax is pulled in from public record. Anybody have experience with insurance on small multifamily properties? I want to take a guess at what we would put here. Annual.
2,400.
Anybody agree or disagree with that?
Pretty close. I like it.
Would you even
I do
know
too. I
unless-
like that number a lot. What?
Would you even know unless you've done it?
You could get. So how would you go about if you didn't know that? How could you get that answer?
Call
Do
some-
Ask
you
someone
know, do
who
you
has-
know anybody?
I mean, I'd call
Do you know
Todd.
anybody?
I'd call it up, that's it, but I mean, I'm lucky to have that resource.
So you could do that. You could do that. I find I actually use for small multifamily, non-commercial. I use Geico and Travelers. So Travelers is partnered with Geico. They're exceptional to work with. Their prices are really good. You can get a quote. You could call them up and be like, "I'm buying 24 Taylor Street in Waltham. Can you give me a quote on this?" You don't have to prove it. You don't have to prove that you're actually buying it. And in 10 minutes, they're going to give you a number. So, be resourceful, call people. But yeah, I like 2,400 is a good number. If you get into commercial property, this number goes way up. But for small multifamily, owner-occupied stuff, that's a really good number.
Way up and you gotta pay it all in.
All right, Ryan, repairs, maintenance. You were all over this earlier. So
$1 million.
these are so just to be clear, these are percentages of gross rents.
Oh. What?
So typically, repairs, vacancy, and capex are from a underwriting perspective, which is what we're doing right now. From an estimation perspective, they're captured as percentage of income or gross rents. And the way we like to think about it is, if a building is in disrepair, like this needs a lot of work, we would ratchet our numbers up. If a building is turnkey, was new construction, was just recently renovated, otherwise in really good condition, you would bring these numbers down, right? So what do we want to use for repairs and maintenance? Anybody know what some normal numbers would be, standard numbers?
5, 10.
5 or 10%? Yep. I think 10's on the high side in this market, because again, it's a percentage of rents. That can get to be a very large number with, if you're bringing in $7,000 or $8,000 or $9,000 a month in rent. But yeah, you could go as high as 10%. What do we want to do? Building looks like it's kind of in rough shape. Should we do like 7 or 8%? 8? Okay. Vacancy. Anybody know what standard kind of vacancy is in the Boston area lately, last couple of years?
What does that mean?
That is the percentage of the time that you have a vacant unit in which you are not bringing in income.
In this instance, it's 100%.
It's gonna be down.
Yeah, I know. I'm asking everybody to be creative, right? So we picked a random property. I could have staged this with a property that worked perfectly, and this is not right. We went on. We picked a property. Assume we could close on this property, and we could fill it with tenants day one, right? But over the course of the first year or any given year, what percentage of the time do we think we wouldn't have tenants? 5. Boston tracks to about 2.5 to 3% right now. In Boston, I use 3%, and I feel pretty comfortable about that. I could do 5 though, so we'll do 5. And then CapEx. So Heather asked this question earlier. Does anybody know what the difference between CapEx is and repairs and maintenance?
like roofs, boilers, like big hefty expenses where repairs is kind of surface level.
Yeah, exactly. So items that have life expectancy to them, exactly, roofs, heating systems, boilers, etc. That's CapEx. Whereas repairs and maintenance are the tenant broke the lock set, the toilet broke, relative operating expenses that come up from time to time.
Is this like an immediate need, like you know the roof needs to be replaced, or you're just kind of preparing for when that happens?
So that's how you pick the number. So that is how you estimate the number. It's the same with repairs and maintenance. If you walk a property, if you walk it with yourself or with an agent, etc., and you say this has all new heating systems, this has a new roof, this has new windows, etc., I would ratchet CapEx down. If I walk a property and say, oh my God, I need a budget for all new windows over the next 5 years. It's going to need a new roof. It's going to need new heating systems. Like, this is going to go up. Because I want to make sure I'm setting the reserves aside to spend the money when the time comes. All right? So again, we'll match it 8%, just like the first one. Management fees. Typically, folks will self-manage. If they're going to live in it, they're going to self-manage this property. So we use 0%. Electricity. What do we have to attribute for electricity in multifamilies, typically?
Common areas.
Common areas. Yeah. I typically see, like, again, depending unless it's large basements, large common areas, a small multifamily building, typically about $20 a month for common area. Gas, do we have gas as an owner? Not typically. Yeah, not typically. So most multifamilies will be sub-metered for gas. Tenants will pay the gas bill directly, and there's typically not a common gas meter unless an owner is using it for like a hot water tank for a coin-op laundry or something like that. But again, I don't want to get too complex. This is typically 0. Water and sewer, typically paid by the owner in Boston. Anybody have any good tactics for estimating water and sewer?
Should always be paid by the owner, first off.
Doesn't always have to be.
Doesn't have to be at all, but it should always be. As the owner, you don't want someone that's living in your building not paying their water bill and then having the problem come through.
I think we're
I
saying
would
different
personally
things.
What's
You're
that?
saying pass the water bill to the tenant? Or
No, I'm saying the landlord, I always want to pay the water and sewer bill, as the landlord.
So you have a
I
team,
don't,
right?
All right, so okay, fair enough. Maybe we'll table that for
Yeah.
later.
Yeah.
If you were to estimate bills, how would you do that?
I call the water and sewer department.
It's a good idea.
Get historical.
Yep, it's a good idea. If you didn't have time or you wanted to just do it, typically $25, $30 per bedroom per month. If you want like quick and dirty, $25, $30 per bedroom per month is a decent way to do it. But you can absolutely look up historically. So in this case, we have 2, 4, 6 bedrooms, $30 a bedroom, so we'd be $180 a month for water and sewer. We wouldn't have HOA fees because we're just a small multifamily. Typically, we wouldn't have garbage either because that's part of our property taxes. You'll have curbside delivery in most places. Are there any other expenses we should include?
PMI.
Yeah.
Does this calculator have expenses, like, is there more any rehab expenses that is in this calculator at all? Are there any additional rehab numbers that we?
So we're using the straight up rental property. Like if you wanted to buy a living ready rental property.
So we're not gonna use this particular
I don't want
property
to
saying
go.
that
We're
we
already.
need to-
We're
Okay.
yeah. So, to the question that Heather asked earlier, you can use the BRRRR or the fix and flip rental calculators if you're going to do renovations and you're trying to boost value. For the sake of this, we're just trying to. You're looking at a multifamily. It's ready to live in. You may or may not do cosmetic renovations. Not the point of.
Gotcha.
Not the point of what we're trying to do. Any other expenses?
Landscaping, snow removal, flower.
Snow, baby.
Land and snow. Yep. And again, this is going to vary. So like size of lawn, size of driveway, etc. What would you guys use for this number?
50 to 100 a month.
I think $100 a month or $1,200 a year is a pretty good one. Anything else? One other expense I would include in every multifamily.
Wrong answer. I don't know.
But
Trash?
it's a good one. Typically in small multis, it's covered in the taxes. So you'll have curbside. You won't have to provide a dumpster or anything. But there's one other thing I provide in every multifamily I own.
What about locks and keys?
Would be covered under repairs and maintenance, ancillary costs like that. Yeah.
Fiction?
What do people not like in their apartments if they leave like food everywhere?
Nice.
Yeah, pest control.
That's what we do right now.
Pest control. An easy way to, I know a lot of people do not put their properties under pest control. I always do. It's relatively cheap. You could do for a 4-family in Waltham, I'd be looking at $50 or $60 a month. And you're gonna head off a lot of problems proactively instead of addressing them retroactively. So, all right. So it took quite a while to go through. We took our time, we went through line by line. Once you do this a couple of times, it doesn't take that long. So once you hit finish it, or analyze, it spits out a number at the top. Some of you are familiar with this, some of you are not. Okay, minus $1,100 in monthly cash flow. So with our income and our expenses, we're losing $1,100. Do people think that's good or bad?
I'm gonna let Kyle buy that.
Good or bad? I'm hearing a mixture. I've heard horrible, pretty good.
Well, if you're living in it,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that's
you
what
got
you're
the $1,000
paying less than
back.
rent.
Might as well rent though.
Love it.
In 12 months, you're getting that money back.
Okay, I think they win.
They do.
Yeah.
They totally.
I don't think a lot of people share
told you
that
you should've bought
perspective,
Kyle.
but I actually think these guys are dead on. Which is, could you rent an apartment in this area? Again, our examples in Waltham. Could you rent an apartment in Waltham for $1,100? Nope. No
This
chance.
is with
We
sharing the unit though, right?
What's that?
This is with sharing the unit, so you're only getting one
It
bedroom.
was, but we as house hackers or
Yeah.
investors are choosing to do that. But yes, this is sharing a unit. But could you go out and rent? Maybe you could rent a bedroom for $1,100.
Maybe you have a girlfriend who's gonna pay half.
Maybe, right? But like, you're not in control of a property, you're not building equity for $1,100. You might be able to go rent a property for $1,700, $1,800, $1,900, but you're paying rent. And so I would look at this and say, and again, I know the property needs work. You can run this same analysis on any number of properties, but you're just trying to get a sense of like, are we even in the ballpark? Or are we just so far apart, do the numbers just look so horrible that I just need to drop this one from my list? The idea is to run through that process very, very quickly and get really, really good at, yes, we should dig in more, no, we shouldn't because it's just so far apart. And even if the numbers don't work, go back and edit this. I do it all the time. Okay, they're asking, they were asking $8.99 2 weeks ago. They're at $8.30. Like there's room there, right? Like they're willing to move. And so even if this doesn't work for you, go back, edit the report, drop the purchase price. Does it work at $7.99? Does it work at $7.80? And get used to figuring out the number that works for you, and then get used to figuring out if something's a good deal, an okay deal, or a bad deal. And the faster you can do that, and the more comfortable you are with that, the better off you're going to be as an investor. But yes, for a house hack, primary or owner-occupied multifamily, I actually think that if it was a ready-to-live-in property that was shooting off negative $1,100 in cash flow, that means I'm contributing $1,100 to the mortgage every month. That's not a terrible option to own a multifamily property. The other thing you have to remember, and I remind people of this all the time, is this is incorporating your variable expenses as well, which means if you scroll down, we have fixed and variable expenses. Your fixed expenses are things like electric, gas, water, sewer. Those you're paying anyway. You're paying that took a little bit longer than I anticipated,
That was really cut down.
but like it's important stuff.
Yeah.
It's
I've
really
watched,
important stuff.
quick videos on this and it didn't click at all. It
Yeah.
just makes a lot of sense.
And again, like I could pick a number. I could pick 8% on repairs, and Gordon might pick 10 or 5 or whatever. Like the point is to not get paralyzed in what the number is, but just think about why am I picking this number, right? Do I want to be conservative? Do I want to be a little bit more risky, right? And is it turnkey? Does it need a lot of work? And adjust your numbers to where you feel comfortable with it.